G'day everybody, Chris from the Headache and Pain Management Centre here, and today we are talking about something very important. In fact, it's so important that this hasn't been discussed for over 40 years. It's a 40-year first. It is very new information about how pain is diagnosed and defined. So today I'm holding here the new definition for pain. Okay, so the International Association for the Study of Pain is the leading international organisation that talks about all things pain. It's what funnels up and tells us as clinicians how we should be treating pain. Now, here's the really important thing that's happened. So the definition of pain has changed. Okay, so the definition now, I've got the piece of paper here, so I've got it absolutely perfect for you to know what it actually is. So here it is. Pain is an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with or resembling that associated with actual or potential tissue damage. Okay, so that's really long-winded, but I'm going to go into it. So obviously, unpleasant sensory or emotional experience. So if we've got a sensory experience, we know what that is. Okay, a stabbing pain in your neck, a stabbing pain in your shoulder, you know, that tight feeling in your back, perhaps a pulling, burning down your leg, or shooting into your head. So we know what sensory actually is there. The emotional experience is something that's actually become more and more recognised as the years have gone by. So when we're talking about emotional pain, we know what that is, okay? When something very terrible has happened, say a death in the family, perhaps something very terrible has happened to a member of your family or one of your friends, we definitely call that emotional pain. You can't feel it anywhere, but you just know deep on the inside that it's deeply troubling, deeply upsetting, okay? And that is what's called emotional pain. Quite obviously, you can have sensory and emotional pain at the same time as well. So it's really important to have that distinction there. The next part, it says associated with or resembling that associated with actual or potential tissue damage. Okay, so where the definition has changed is the part where resembling that associated with actual or potential tissue damage. So what that's actually done now is that it's updated the definition to show that while all pain is real, okay, it can resemble tissue damage. Okay, this might be a bit of a brain, a bit of a brain tingler while we're trying to think about this. But if you've been following my content for a little while now, what you'll know about how pain operates is that something can feel for all money that something is broken, okay? It feels like a real pinch in your neck. It can feel like a stabbing pain in your eye if you've got something resembling a migraine or an actual migraine. But the thing is that the eye isn't actually anything wrong with it. There may not actually be anything wrong with a scan on your neck, but it certainly feels that way. It certainly feels like that there's a big problem with it. The reason why it feels that way is because your brain is being tricked. Okay, so the signals pass up into your brain and tells your brain, hey, look, there's something going wrong with some part of your body, right? And then the brain misinterprets that signal and gives you pain when it doesn't really need to be there. Now, this normally happens when you've had it for a very long time, okay, if a pain is chronic. Obviously, this doesn't apply to if you've got a rolled ankle and the ligament sprains and sure enough, you've got some pain there because of a fresh injury. Not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is if you've had a minor injury like a whiplash, you've had some kind of injury which has caused a little bit of an issue at the start, but it just doesn't go away. And in fact, it just gets worse as we go. So when I was talking about the minor injury like a whiplash, I'm talking about those people that might have sort of a little fender bender at 10 to 20 k's an hour, but they have this huge pain that starts to escalate massively over a longer period of time, and it just doesn't seem to get better. Or it might be that person who has bent over to pick up that piece of paper off the floor and they feel a bit of a ting in their back, and then it's really sore the next morning and it just doesn't feel the same afterwards. Now, what can happen with that is that the signals from your back, from your neck, shoot up to your brain, and your brain gets a bit confused about what the signals actually mean. So what we now know about that is that it can resemble actual tissue damage, but it isn't actually tissue damage at all. It actually just feels that way, but it's your brain that's causing the output. So I'll read the definition again. It's an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with or resembling that associated with actual or potential tissue damage. Now, what's important about the word potential as well is that pain can come on just before you do something that might cause tissue damage. So for example, if you put your finger on the fry pan, ow, off it comes, but you look at your finger and your finger isn't burnt. Okay, so you actually just have a bit of a spike or a little bit of a warning shot to say, hey, look, you might hurt yourself. Please remove that part of your body away from the hot plate so that you don't hurt yourself. So you can get pain even when there's a potential for tissue damage there. Now, this might sound a bit confusing. This might sound like there's a lot of detail to it. It might sound like there's a lot of contradictions and a lot of brain explosions working out how this all works. But if you're in chronic pain, this probably isn't surprising to you. And the reason why it's not surprising is because you know that your pain is very complex. You know that sometimes the pain can be devastatingly bad on one day and then wake up the next morning and things are totally fine. Some days you might find that it's bad with stress, some days that you might find that it's better when you're more relaxed, or vice versa. It can be all confusing all the time. And the reason why it is confusing is because it's your brain that makes the final decision. And the updated definition of what pain is actually starts to begin to explain that. So I hope that's been really helpful. So that definition again, an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with or resembling that associated with actual or potential tissue damage. So if that's you, if you are one of those people that are having those unpleasant sensory and emotional experiences, type in below and tell us your story, because it's very confusing, can be very frustrating, can be very lonely when you have this sort of thing happening. We want to help you out, okay? The community that's here on our page, there's over 5,500 people that are following our content. All of them are experiencing much the same as you. So share your story below. We'll start a conversation with you to see if we can help out, because this is what we are very, very passionate about, is helping people with headaches, chronic pain, migraines, and everything in between to get the lives back, to get the lives that they want to lead. Coming up soon, okay, in addition to the new definition of chronic pain, are actually 6 little tidbits of information that are with that piece of definition, okay? So those 6 little bits that are like little asterisks or footnotes under the definition are also included in the new definition of pain. So the future videos, I'm going to be touching on those couple of key points to understand more about how pain actually works, to give you the freedom and the knowledge to actually go and try that thing that you want to do, regardless if your pain is there or not. So please type in below, share your story, ask a question, and we can help you out from there. I hope that's been useful. I'll be with you again shortly with another Facebook Live video, but for now, I'll log off and I look forward to seeing you soon. Cheers and bye for now.